Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Turf Today, presented by our good friends at Toro. Count on it. I'm Adam Kershane, joined by Brian Laurent, and today we're bringing you a great one. Episode number 56, which features Phil Cuffare from Oakland Hills. We really appreciate you joining us today. Everything you've been doing to help us out has been amazing. All of the ratings and reviews, downloads, it's been awesome. We wanted to thank you for all the support with the new logo, the new merchandise that just dropped. You can go to turftodayshop.com to find all of that great stuff. There's something there for everybody. Any ideas you guys have for merchandise or anything like that, definitely send it our way. We want to help. We want to have some fun. We want to create this stuff for you guys. I'm going to throw things down to Brian right now. How was vacation, mister?
No, it was good. Just went down to Gatlinburg area and spent a couple of days down there. There were 14 of us. So,
Wow. All family or family friends?
yeah, my wife's family. So the in-laws, my brother-in-law and his wife and kids, and my wife's stepsister, her dad, stepmom, all of us. So, and then our four kids. So it was probably more work than work.
That
Right?
happens sometimes, right?
Yeah, right. Isn't it
Yeah.
always, you always need a vacation when you get home from a vacation? That's
Yeah.
definitely how I feel. So,
Well, with four kids, it's a lot of work. It's memories, but it's a lot of work for sure.
yeah, it is. It's yeah, great times. Kids had fun. I had a good time. So it was nice to get away for a little bit. Didn't really open up a computer all week, so it was good.
Nice. Yeah, you can't ask for anything more than that. If you can come back happy and the kids can come back happy from the trip, that's always good.
That's it. That's it. How you
Yeah.
been?
Things were a little crazy here. No power, no internet
Yeah.
for a few days. Yeah, it was like the old times, but yeah, we got through.
Outstanding.
Just had some people doing some work at our house and they cut the lines. And my
Oh,
neighbor
jeez.
actually went out and called them out on it. And the guy was like, sorry, like we got to go to our next job. And we weren't able to get people out to fix everything for a few days. And then we still had internet down
Oh,
too. So it was kind of wild. It was a little nice, to be honest with you. And we didn't have a ton of frozen food or anything like that. So we were in a good spot and wasn't too hot, wasn't too cold. So we made it happen.
so did you get up to the lake? Is that where you guys
We
went?
talked about it, but we decided to hang back.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were able to kind of tough it out because we did get the power back first, and then we were just at internet for another kind of 12, 18 hours.
Ugh.
It's just life, right? But it's so funny how much you depend on internet and
I
and
know.
your power and everything, and you don't have it, you're just freaking out. It's so funny. Like our TV doesn't work if we don't have internet. It's just that's
Yeah.
how far we've come now. Like,
Yeah.
oh man, so.
That's it. Like I remember having an office job, and if we didn't have internet, it's like, well, now what do we do?
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know?
Like what are we gonna do now? So like
Yeah.
my 3-year-old just didn't get it. Like he's like, no, you just dad, just turn the TV on. Like the Lion King's on there. You just turned it on. Like, no, man, sorry.
So which Lion King do you guys watch? Do you watch the original cartoon version or
Yeah.
the newer version?
They watched it at his preschool one day and now he's hooked. So that's just his
Okay.
thing. You know how the kids go through phases, right? So it's
Oh
just
yeah.
one thing one week and right now he's just right into the Lion King. So
Nice. Have you introduced them to Cars and
yeah.
that series and all that?
Yeah,
Okay, that
he
was
likes cars. Yeah, he calls that the
nice.
race movie.
Nice.
That's the race
Nice.
movie. Yeah.
That was my boys. That was their go-to for quite a while.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Good
we've been going
stuff.
through the Paw Patrol phase pretty hard
Yeah.
lately.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, everything Paw Patrol. Always fun.
Is he a chase kid? Does he like chases on the case?
It's actually a big rubble guy. It's got all the rubble guys,
Nice.
all the yellow stuff. Yeah, I don't know.
Love it.
Kind of funny, eh?
I love it.
I didn't realize how long ago that came out. That was like I think some of the
Yep.
toys date back to like 2013, 2014 or something like that. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, before that, because my kids were into it. So,
Okay, so even
yeah,
before
no, I
that.
guess you're right. I guess it's probably, yeah, it would have been about 13, 14. Yeah. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, still, shoot, that's hard to believe that was 10 years ago.
I know.
Seems like it was yesterday.
It's flying. We got to talk about the new sponsorship. We've obviously been holding on to this one
Yeah.
for a while, so it's exciting to release the new sponsorship with Toro.
Big stuff right there. Yeah, excited to have Toro on board. I know they've been big supporters of both of our ventures here for a little while. So great to have them come in and be our new presenting partner.
Yeah, everything we've done with those guys has been first class, and everybody we work with over there has been really great to work with. So just keep the
Yeah.
relationship going, and we're excited to have them aboard.
Yeah, a bunch of great people. Been fortunate enough, obviously, throughout the travels to get to meet a lot of different people from within the Toro organization. And yeah, just really solid people and just so grateful for their support of what we're doing and can't wait to watch this thing continue to grow.
Yeah. All right. Give me a little intro for Phil.
Bill Cuffare, Director of Agronomy at Oakland Hills. They're getting ready. By the time this podcast comes out on Tuesday, they're going to be in the midst of hosting the U.S. Junior Amateur Championship hosted by the USGA. Known Phil for several years, just another phenomenal person. The program that they have up there at Oakland Hills is top notch. Two 18-hole golf courses, Donald Ross design. The South Course just did a renovation with Gil Hanse and Jim Wagner, the monster, as it's known to many of the professionals that played it through many of the different events. But Phil's just a salt of the earth kind of guy. I had an opportunity to spend some time with him doing a little video for SN a while back. People hear it during the podcast. I think some people see some of these guys at some of these higher end clubs and they think it's just been easy for them. You know, they come from a certain pedigree, they're part of a certain tree, and they think everything's just handed to them. Phil, the cool thing about Phil was he took a superintendent job at an early age, and the club went out of business. And so he actually went and took a step backwards. And I think he went and became like an AIT again after becoming a head superintendent for a while. Went back and went to Oak Hill as an AIT just because he knew he wanted to set himself up for success down the road. And so, you know, Phil's had some setbacks along the way, but he's obviously overcome and he's at one of the greatest clubs in the country. So great dude. It's great conversation. Look forward to everyone taking a listen to it.
Yeah, this will definitely be a good one. And I apologize, I'm not on this interview, but Brian flies the plane solo and does a fantastic job. So enjoy, and we'll see you after.
All right. Phil Cuffare, Director of Agronomy, Oakland Hills. Welcome to the show, man.
Thanks, Brian. What an honor and what a pleasure. It's good to do this stuff.
Yeah, no, appreciate you coming on. I know it's a busy week, advanced week. You got the US Junior coming in next week. How you feeling?
Feeling really good. We had some weather today, but it's nothing we haven't dealt with before at Oakland Hills or really any place I've ever worked. But hopefully it's out of the way and we can start firming the place up.
I was going to say, so I mean, barring any significant weather or anything, what's the expectation as far as presenting the golf course next week?
Yeah, so we want a U.S. Open test, is what the USGA had stated a couple years ago, and they haven't backed away from it. They want to give the youngsters the true test of a U.S. Open at one of the cathedrals of golf, as they would call it. And I think their feeling is Hogan won here, Player won here, Arnold Palmer won here, Nicholas won here, and to win here, you're going to have to, beat the monster, so to say.
So you mentioned a little bit of the history. I mean, what is it about Oakland Hills that attracts all these big events?
I think obviously the greens, they're probably some of the most treacherous greens in golf, and I know Gil and some of the best have compared them to Augusta National. That's a theme that goes around here. And I think it's a big ballpark out there, big golf course. And, I think it's your prototypical U.S. Open golf course where, this place can beat your brains out.
Thick rough and all that US Open type setup. How many golf balls would you be losing out there in the rough?
So we're finding brand new Pro V1s left and right. I mean, it's like an Easter egg hunt out there. I swear. I mean, it's fun. It's fun to transform a golf course from like a members golf course into a major championship golf course. It's really it's a sight to see.
Talk about that process. You mentioned turning a members golf course into a championship. I mean, what's the process? What's the starting line? What's the end line here?
Yeah, so we probably can go in depth here. I think the starting line was probably 6 years ago when I got here, and they didn't have any championships, which I thought was really cool and interesting to bring back major championship golf to Oakland Hill. So I really think that process started 6 years ago, and obviously with the rich history and tradition of hosting major championships, there's a lot on our plate to uphold history. So, it's been a grind from the restoration, to the growing of the restoration to transforming the restoration into a major championship golf course, that the members were enjoying. But now, we have 5.5 inch rough out there, and it's you can see why they call it the monster.
So what do you think you'd shoot? You're a heck of a player. I don't see the championship belt from the PB&J championship behind you anywhere, but
I should
what
have
do
put it.
That's okay. We'll give you a pass. I mean, what's an average? I mean, you're what, probably a 6 handicap? What are you shooting
Yeah,
out there these days?
yeah, 6. I think I had an 85 a couple weeks ago, and that was with a lot on my mind, work related, and I wasn't thinking about the golf swing. Right now, I don't know if I could keep it under 90. It's brutal out there.
Really?
Yeah, it was brutal. I think before we got a little moisture in the ground, probably about a week and a half ago, I would think that they would struggle to break par out here.
So I know you like to play golf. Um, how helpful as a superintendent is it for you to have the understanding or to be able to enjoy the game of golf? Does it give you a different perspective when you're out there playing?
I think so, and obviously I love the game, and it's probably the reason why I'm in the turf business. I could never see myself giving someone golf lessons, but I think setting up the ultimate playing field for, the ultimate competition is just really, really cool. And to understand the game at a real high level on what the player's thinking, hitting shots into a firm, fast surface, and what goes into that, and to produce that surface is really, the challenge and really what drives me.
Is it different when you are preparing it for guys that are flying the ball 330? I mean, you and I, we've got very similar games and we think about the way we play it.
Yeah,
How do you wrap your mind around setting it up for people that are bombing at 330, can stick it wherever they want? And what's that like?
yeah. I think the great equalizer is firmness.
Yeah.
I don't think speed. These guys are fearful of speed anymore. But I think when they don't know where their golf ball is going to end up, it's what scares the pants off them. And that equates to making decisions in the fairway of what shot to hit, what club to hit, what flight to hit. So I think that's the really cool part that I like. I played with a kid a couple weeks ago from New York State, from our hometown in Rochester, New York. And he was flying at, Brian, no joke, he was flying at 330. I've never seen anything like it. He was probably, I think he was 19 or 20, and left-hander, and that where he hit it with the driver was unbelievable. But I'd say, kind of where he hit it with his irons was alarming, because I would say his iron play wasn't that good.
Compared to higher levels, right? I mean,
Yeah, and the young kids, they don't care where they hit it, but I think this coming up week, they're going to care where they hit it.
a lot of locations they can three putt from out there, right?
And me and Andy North were just talking, and that is the beauty of the South Course, that I think there's a 3 putt around every corner.
So you mentioned a little bit about the renovation. Talk about the scope of the project. What all did you guys take on over there?
So, it was a restoration. We restored the greens, we restored the bunkers, we restored the tees, and really brought back the Donald Ross feel that had been lost probably since Robert Trent Jones did the golf course in like 49, 50 for the 51 Open, and that, Art Hills had some part in tinkering with, and Reese Jones, obviously. So we brought back the Ross feel. So massive, huge bunkers. The greens, average square footage on the greens is 8,500, which I think we have 3 greens over 10,000 square feet. And the green compounds themselves are just really, really neat. Maybe even comparable to Winged Foot a little bit, where when you start getting onto the edges over here and short siding yourself, you can short side yourself and probably with a chip, end up 60 feet from the hole. And then the 3 putts are lurking all over the place out here. But the restoration was just really to untiger proof the place would be a good categorization of it, and bring back the width and the angles, wide fairways, some angles to hit into these big greens, and the bunkering, and bring back the scale of the property. It's a big property with big ridge lines and lots of long vistas that had kind of been shrunken with trees. And then in turn, you got some smaller bunkers, and then you lost some green square footage in the end. So we recaptured all that stuff.
It's a lot of aesthetic changes and taking it back to kind of what the Ross look and feel was. But how much of it was infrastructure changes to essentially set you guys up and give you the resources and tools to, really keep that thing in peak condition?
Obviously, this day and age, that's a big part of it, infrastructure. And what's the golf course doing in wet conditions? What's it doing in dry conditions? So we incorporated precision air technology into the greens, so we can pull moisture out, air conditioning, heating into them, and really create the perfect element for grass to grow in, no matter what Mother Nature's doing, and create a predictable environment, I would say, and especially in an unpredictable environment,
Sure.
which is really interesting. But I think the drainage infrastructure that we've done, we've gotten 3 inches of rain last Wednesday, immediately mowed fairways Thursday morning. Just got another 1.9 this morning. I mean, we're out mowing and rolling today. So, that type of stuff, and that's kind of, I'd say, what major championship golf is now. They want not so much the weather to be predictable, but the golf course to be predictable after you get those weather events. And, they want the show to go on. And so the infrastructure, I think we put in 21 miles of drainage, which is astronomical. USGA greens, Billy bunker technology, and Rainbird 2-wire system. And, so I really think we're set up for the long-term future of championship golf at Oakland Hills. And, more importantly, member play. The members are really the reason why we're here. Yeah, we're hosting championships every 4 years now, but, there's member play in between those 4 years. So that's really a priority.
We'll get back to the majors here in a little bit, but with those PAs being in Detroit, how beneficial is it to have that capability of heating in the winters? Is that something you guys have really utilized?
We probably use them more in the springtime than we do in the fall, just because, when it gets cold here, we're kind of shutting down. We want the grass to go through its natural process of hardening off and shutting down to go into dormancy for the wintertime. But in the springtime, it's beautiful to use to fire them up and kind of get the grass moving in the right direction and start preparing for the season and have that strong, healthy surface. My favorite component of the PAs is suction mode, pulling air through them, especially on days like today. I mean, we went from 1.9 inches rain, and it came fast and hard, to I think we were just on the moisture meter, and I think we were at 15%. So, I mean, it's and coupled with an incredible greens mix too. But you're right back in the game with major championship golf or daily member play right then and there. We don't have to miss a beat.
So you mentioned some events coming about every 4 years. What's ahead?
Yeah, so we have the Junior Am this year. We have the Women's Amateur in 29. Then we have the Women's Open in 31, and then the Men's Open in 34. So it's an exciting time, and it's a pretty stacked schedule. It's interesting to say, Brian, and we haven't even hosted the boys junior right now, but it's already, I'm kind of thinking about kind of what's next leading up to 29. I guess I probably shouldn't do that or even say that on camera, right? But it's always in the back of my mind on what we can do better, or hey, see something that I would change maybe right now. And it's exciting for sure.
Yeah. And I think that's pretty common. I mean, I see that in a lot of the events that I go to. Once you get to tournament week, there's really not much else that can be done, right? So do you find yourself doing that? I mean, this is your last dress rehearsal, final changes of this week, advance week. And then, I mean, how do you kind of keep yourself focused on tournament week without looking too far ahead?
Yeah. I don't know. I'll let you know during the week how I
We'll have some conversations next week about it, huh?
exactly. Obviously I'm laser focused on the tournament, and but there's some stuff I'd probably do right now. Maybe some rough renovations for 29, or some stuff like that. The playing surfaces are in remarkable shape right now, so there's nothing really in that avenue that I would tweak.
Well, but you're a perfectionist, I know. So I mean, when we were walking around a couple of weeks ago, I see it. So we'll get to that later. But
Yeah.
these events, I mean, what's your favorite part about hosting these kinds of events? Because you've done it, when you were at Oak Hill and other
Yep.
places. What do you enjoy most about these?
What I enjoy most is the relationships that we've built over the course of a career. And, this is my first opportunity to, you know, have Jeff Corcoran come help me, or John Zimmer's come and help me, or all my friends, Rich McIntosh, Chad Mark, and host these guys for a change instead of them hosting me. So it's also the nerve wracking part, and having Mike McCormick's, he's hosting the U.S. Open next year, and he's coming for a day. So you know how detail oriented those guys are. So I'm sure there's going to be lists written, and hey, you missed this, hey, you missed that, or you got this going on. But I think the most important, after reflecting for a few moments, is it's really the relationships. That, and we're going to build some new relationships this week too with some people that I don't know, and that's exciting. And I think it speaks volumes of our industry, really. And having you come and document it and hang out with all of us too is a huge part of it. And the guys that work on our staff, a lot of these guys have never done this stuff, or they volunteered at other places, but now it's their turn to be the host. And we were kind of going over that the other night. I'm like, you've seen stuff that you liked and you didn't like at other places. Well, now it's time to incorporate all that stuff and put it to good use. I think one of the thrills is we have a pretty big H2B program here, and guys from Mexico that have been with us for, I think, 3 seasons, some almost 4. And these guys are going out and buying new wardrobes. Like, this is the biggest thing that they have, I don't want to say ever done in their life, but they were telling me, oh yeah, I bought, 5 new pairs of pants and new shoes and, this stuff. It's like, holy cow, that's awesome.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love it. You mentioned guys coming in, and I know you've been on that side of it where you've gone to other events. What's that balance, that fine line of pointing something out to the host superintendent and then just kind of sitting there, maybe seeing something, not saying something, and being there for support? How do you kind of balance your responsibility when you're there at someone else's golf course?
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of the relationships that we have with one another, of the guys I've just managed. I would be really disappointed in them if they didn't tell me something that we were missing, or a tweak, or something like that. And and I think rightfully so. I think they would be disappointed in me, and trust me, I've really been tough on my guys on buttoning down the details, because hopefully those conversations don't occur. But at the same time, I want the truth. I like it black and white. And if we're missing something, I want to know about it so we can either address it now or in the future. So.
And Jeff's been out there a few times over the last few weeks, right? So he's probably given you a few lists to look at.
Yes, he has. And it's been an incredible experience having him out here. Huge help. Last time I worked for him was in 2015, from 2011 to 2015. And to work with him again was just priceless. That would be the word. Yeah.
But is he going to be out there all next week?
He is. He's coming in Sunday, and he checks up on me all the time, and you can hear the excitement and the passion in his voice, and it's, what's going on out there, how you looking, what do we need to do, you need me to come right now, and he's at a lax tournament with his girls or something, and you can just tell he's still got the fire, and he's just as excited as me, I think.
He's not sure what to do with himself when he's sitting there at a lacrosse tournament right now. Getting antsy.
Yeah. Part of me, I'm not worried for my guys, but I hope they're buttoned up, because I think, I told him this morning, I go, I'm giving Unit 1 a radio, and if he starts chirping you on the radio, the response time better be quicker than it is for me. That's for sure. Yeah.
That's awesome. So you've got what, 60 volunteers coming in for the week?
Yeah, 60 volunteers. So to bring our number up to, I think, 113. So staff
Wow.
members.
What's
And the funny thing is, Brian, is that we were going through the planning and the scheduling. I probably could use another 50, with the tournament on
Sure.
both golf courses. And then, but, I think we have plenty. And obviously, as the tournament gets pared down, we'll be in really good area and be able to dial in the South with 113 guys.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because I think when I've talked to people about what's coming up next year at the junior, they're shocked to hear that you had 60 volunteers. But like you mentioned, you're using both golf courses to host this. So how are you going to be able to kind of balance the maintenance of both of those and then shift focus just to the one primary course?
Yeah, you really, this is the first time they've gone to a 264 player field. And Seth, our equipment manager, just found that out the other day. He's like, why are we the first club? And I haven't thought 1 second about it because I just think it's the normal, right? But um, I'm excited to do both, and I think maybe it's the new standard. I know Jim Roney has it, I think, next year at Saucon Valley, and he'll be here for the week. We might have to put Roney and Zimmers to work.
Oh
I might
boy,
be down two guys. They might have to backpack blow or something.
dude, I will pay you to get them on a greens route.
I don't know about the greens route, man. I told my guys today, we had a talk, and I might have been a little frustrated. And I said, I'm giving John Zimmers a radio, Jim Roney a radio, Jeff Corcoran a radio, and you guys can deal with them all week, you know? And so that should be fun.
You've mentioned some really, really good names here and some popular names in the industry, obviously. Talk about your relationships with them and what that network's like for you.
Yeah. So I think I'm probably a kid in a candy store because those are guys that I've always looked up to. And the fact that now I get to hang out with them or talk to them or learn from them. And, I went to the Green Start Academy last year with John and Jim. And obviously you can imagine how that was. I mean, I was just sitting there listening and laughing, really. It's really a dream come true, and I've learned so much for those guys. They're an open book, and John's been calling me. I think he's been calling me every single day. Came up and saw me a week ago, and we obviously go see him in Florida too in the winter. And my my family has a relationship with him and Tracy, and it's just stuff like that. You kind of pinch myself because here's a guy that I've always looked up to, and the amount of championships that he's hosted at Oakmont or at Inverness, and same with Jim. Jim's coming up because he's hosting the Junior Am. I said to Rob Dune today, I go, Jim's hosted plenty of USGA events at Saucon Valley. Why? I don't even understand why he's coming to Oakland Hills to check out the Junior Am, but he is, and super excited to see him. But and with Jeff, obviously the championships he hosted, or Paul B and Russ Myers and all this, you can really lucky to call these guys friends, and I can't wait to see him and have share the experience with them.
Uh, the more people you keep saying that are coming, it's going to be a fun week. I can't wait to get up there next week.
I'm
Uh,
used to being on the receiving end of fun, with hanging out with Rich McIntosh and Kyle Steidel and Mike McCormick, and it's usually and Tom Waite, and we're usually the ones having fun. And now I got to work while they're probably off having fun. So
well, that's why you have good people that work with you, Phil. So, you can disappear maybe every now and then and have some
yeah,
fun. It's okay.
right, yeah,
So you mentioned all those names and obviously you worked for Jeff at Oak Hill. And I think sometimes people hear the pedigree, the places that you worked, and they get that, well, it's been easy for this guy. Look at who he's worked for and all that. But I know you've had some setbacks in your career. Talk about some of those setbacks and kind of how you got to where you are.
I always tell my guys, you're never judged when things are going really good. You're always judged when times get really difficult. And I think that's a theme in life. Obviously, worked at a place where the club went bankrupt, and kind of had to take a step back. reassess my career, and make good decisions, because the next decision might be the last decision that you ever make in this particular career. And I went to talk to someone that I have the most respect for in the industry, and Jeff Corcoran at Oak Hill, and I just think he's the best decision maker I've ever been around. And I wanted him to take a look at my situation, and went back, he said I should come work for him, and made me go talk to my wife about it. Had her okay it, because it was going to take some dedication, some discipline, and some responsibility on my part. He wasn't going to do it for me, but he was going to provide me the platform to do it. And I took advantage of the opportunity. I listened to everything he said, and we had some good days, and we had some days where Phil got yelled at, and but you learn from him, and the only place you can go is up, right? You're down. You're probably as low as you can go. So you either got to climb out of the hole, or you got to get buried in it. And I'm not the type of person to get buried in it. So, and to hang out with a guy like Jeff, who's super positive, reinforcing, and just kind of pushes you along. And just when you think you're good, you're not good enough. So, which is, exactly who I am as a person. And, got lucky. I think Jeff's famous saying is, the harder you work, the luckier you get. And we've put our fair share of hours in working hard. We end up at a place like Oakland Hills in the end. So we are definitely lucky.
When you look back at that first superintendent job you took, and the course goes out of business a few years later, is it something, were there ever signs? Do you ever look back at it now? And do you think you were maybe just eager to get that first job? Do you think you should have been a little more patient and picky with your first job? I know that's something some assistants now are kind of trying to balance. What do you think as you reflect upon that?
Yep, 100%, Brian. And if I had to go back, and hindsight's 2020, I do think I was a little anxious. Obviously, do I think I was talented? I do, but I think I should have been more picky. And I also think the game's changed a little bit since then. And, going to work for a Paul B. Latchaw or Jeff or Zimmers or Roney or whoever, and spending a little bit more time and being a little bit more picky instead of eager to make that first. I mean, back when I did this in 2005, $70,000 superintendent job was a pretty big deal. But, saying to my wife last night, if I was still there, we're not at Oakland Hills. Me and Jeff talk about it too. I'm like, there's no way that place doesn't go bankrupt. You and I probably don't know each other, and we're not doing a podcast on July 16th before a tournament.
Everything happens for a reason. I love it. And you've learned from it, right? I mean, so talk about some of the lessons that you've learned and from some of those setbacks.
Adversity can be the best teacher, and how you handle adversity and perseverance, right? And are you a woe me guy, or, are you a pick yourself up on the floor and dig a little deeper guy? And I think what I've learned is having a plan, and executing that plan, and make sure the plan is detailed, short-term goals, long-term goals, and navigating yourself through that, and having a passion for something. And I think it takes an incredible support system. So that's probably one thing that I've learned. My wife's been super supportive. My mother-in-law, father-in-law have been supportive. My mom and dad were supportive. My sister was supportive. My friends were really supportive. And it shows you in life, you got to support people, and especially when they're down. So I've learned an awful lot about it. And I think what I try to teach these young guys, Brian, is I don't even know how to say it, but you just got to keep grinding. You just really, you got to chase it and chase it and chase it. And you're going to have some good days, and we're going to have some days where we get kicked in the teeth, and it's how you pick yourself up and chase it again, and keep grinding after it.
So you're teaching them how to grind. And, I know Jeff obviously did a great job training you, preparing for Oakland Hills. And you've recently had a couple guys move on. I know Nick went down to Tree Farm. Chewy went out to Sakonnet. What have you done, or what do you do to prepare your assistants to take that next step in their careers?
I think management is the big one, and obviously agronomics. The responsibility aspect of working at Oakland Hills and running one of the golf courses, if not both the golf courses, but putting them in some situations, where they're the decision maker and, see how they do in that. I think that's what a lot of guys don't see is all the decisions that I have to make and everything I'm responsible for,
Yeah.
and whether
Did
it's
you
that.
actually get to see a golf course during the day, or are you just in meetings all day?
Yeah, right. Exactly. And when they have one problem, I have, it feels like 100 problems, right? It's so for them to understand that, especially with everything we have going on at Oakland Hills right now, whether it's the clubhouse or maintenance facility, and they may have one issue where so and so wants to go home, but it's like, yeah, well, I got a clubhouse being built, a maintenance facility being built, a tournament being run, and I got to deal with all these guys. So I think having those guys understand being the ultimate decision maker, and what day are you going to give days off to, or for guys, or are you going to buy lunch for them, or not being so tough on them too.
You just mentioned all the things that you have going on, so I just figured it's a great time to step over to that. How on earth do you prioritize and balance a USGA major, a clubhouse renovation, a maintenance renovation, a maintenance building being built? Like, you've got a lot going on. What's that process of prioritizing everything that's going on?
Yeah, I was saying, I think it was Jay-Z was here a week ago, I think, July 5th, and he was like scratching his head. He's like, man, you got a lot going on. And Jeff said the same thing, but I don't know any different because like just in the middle of it, and it's a sink or swim, like if you start sinking, you're going to get run over. But I think the big thing is writing stuff down in a pad that you see, and you have to address it immediately. There is no procrastination. If you leave it for an hour a day, it's getting lost in the shuffle and you're going to forget about it. So you really got to stay on top of stuff. Time management is super important to me. I've actually had some situations where I've had to say no to people, which I like saying yes to people, but I flat out told them I can't come to the meeting. Like, and here's why. If I go to the meeting, this stuff's going to happen and I need to be here directing the charge, and they totally got it. But I'm usually not a no person. I'm usually a yes person, and some certain situations you got to say no.
Appreciate you not saying no to joining us here on this podcast.
See,
So that's good.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah,
So I know you're somewhat of an impatient person. And I think I talked to Chad about this a couple of weeks ago as well. You're a perfectionist. How do those characteristics, personality traits, hinder and help you as a golf course superintendent?
yeah. I'm a big sense of urgency guy, and I think that goes with being impatient. My sense of urgency is really at an all-time high, especially right now. Um, my impatience, I think it's an asset, and then it's not. I think I can be impatient and get a lot of things done really quickly, or I can be impatient, and I would say the one thing I've learned from Jeff, who I think is an incredible decision maker, is even when he showed impatience, we never went backwards. He never got impatient and made a bad decision, you know. Um, so that's the greatest thing that I've always learned probably from him is we don't make decisions and go backwards. So don't let your impatience work in a negative arena, so to say. Um, I think I've become more patient with some stuff, and even some stuff very recently that probably, you know, I would have flown off the handle a little while ago, but I've kind of like, maybe gave a few more hugs and back rubs than I have in the past, which, saw a positive response. We got to pick ourselves up and move on.
Is that having kids that's softened you up a little bit, Phil?
I think it is. But I pay attention to a lot of the guys that I mentioned earlier, and you know, there's a time to fly off the handle, and then there's not a time. And right now isn't that time at Oakland Hills to, we gotta be detailed and be focused, and some mistakes are going to happen, and hopefully those mistakes don't determine the outcome of what this place is presented like.
When you're going through a restoration, a big project like you did, and having that maybe lack of patience, how do you kind of calm that down as you're just, kind of sitting there waiting for things to grow in and mature and all that, and try not to push too hard?
So the restoration is probably, to be quite honest with you, is where I learned a lot of this stuff. And what I learned is I was the ultimate decision maker, along with Gil Hans and Jim Wagner and Kai Golby, but we were going to dictate the pace and the outcome, and whatever Gil and Jim and Kai built, it was going to be up to me to manage. And, I got to figure out a way to manage it. And, I think stuff like that works. You need harmony. You got to create harmony, and you need people that want to gravitate towards you to work in one common goal. So, the patience of letting something grow in, I don't know if I'm patient in that regard, but I just look at it as and kind of weigh the situation. Do we need a quick turnaround, or do I have 6 months to grow this area in? And if we need a quick turnaround, we're probably going to sod. And if, even though I think seeding is better, but if I'm going to be patient and have some time on the clock, then I'm probably going to seed. And then we always use the famous saying, this is Oakland Hills Country Club. These people aren't patient here, so let's get it ready.
It's awesome. I'd ask you for some good Jim Wagner stories, but I know there's probably, the best ones we can't talk about here on a public forum. So
there's some good ones. He's a
If you-
close friend, and he's an incredible personality. Him and Gil both, and Jim is the best.
So getting back to your staff a little bit, you guys have a little internship program there, don't you?
Yep, we do.
Talk about that program, and like, how much do you lean on your interns to get ideas on what they're looking for, or do you have a specific program already kind of in place?
Yeah. Love interns. We usually take 3 or 4 a year. We offer scholarships. We have the Oakland Hills Scholarship, which is a really cool opportunity. And then there's always the opportunity for the Caveman Scholarship with Gil and Jim as well, seeing that we're a Hans and Wagner club. So that's an excellent opportunity for the interns. And what I look for the interns is I like to know either where they've been or what level they're at in their careers. I prefer the ones that are really, really young and have no experience, but they come in all shapes and sizes. I like to see where they're at, and I like to push them a little bit, and if they know how to mow greens, let's get them into spraying, let's get them into spraying fairways, let's get them into calibrating, let's get them into applicating. And I like, Dave D'Alessandro's famous saying, let's get comfortable being uncomfortable, and I think I don't believe in baptism by fire, but I want to see these guys pushed a little bit and teach them some stuff, hand watering stuff, or, anything, management stuff, that's undersold these days, letting them manage some small groups. We got some outstanding interns this year that are doing incredible, and they're just really, really thriving. And I love watching them grow, Brian. I mean, I had one kid got here and probably like a little on the less confident side, and I would say he'd worked at 1 or 2 clubs, and I'd say his greens mowing ability wasn't really up to snuff, and I really pushed him. And to see where he is now and where he was is incredible. It's, and he's out spraying fairways, and he's confident, and he's carrying himself a little bit differently than he walked through the door.
We kind of touched upon it, but how much pride do you take in training these people and preparing them for the next steps? We talked about some of your assistants that moved on, but I mean, how much pride do you get out of seeing these guys succeed?
It's the best thing we do as superintendents. 100% is I love to see people grow. I love to help them grow. I like them to ask a lot of questions. I love to ask them a lot of questions and see what they want and how I can help them be better. Um, and how, where do they want to go? Do they want to be at Oakland Hills or do they want to be mid-level public? Where do they want to go? And let's help them get to the right thing, area. And I always ask the interns or anybody, well, what do you want to learn at Oakland Hills? And I take their list and I start checking stuff off on them. Here we go. And then they don't even realize it's happening. And I'm like, hey, come here for a second. Here's the list you gave me 2 weeks ago. We've just accomplished all this stuff. Is this all you got? This is all I got to do, and
Take the rest of the season off then.
Yeah, I'm like, what do I got to do? You want me to keep going? You want me to show you anything else? Like that. And as far as the assistants or the superintendents that we've moved on, that's the greatest thrill. I mean, there's nothing greater than those guys being successful outside of Oakland Hills and using Oakland Hills as an avenue to get to where they want to go. I couldn't be prouder. Can't wait for them to come back for the junior am because they were all part of this, doing this and getting this to where it is right now. And I think they're super excited and I'm super excited to hang out with them for sure.
Yeah. That's a pretty common theme amongst, the guys at your type level is just that pride in moving people along. It's always great to see. Do you think that's something you kind of picked up from your time with Jeff, or is that just something you've always had? That
No,
coaching
100.
mentality.
I think it goes all the way back to definitely with Jeff, but Paul B. Latshaw, and seeing his guys climb the ladder, and obviously Mr. Latshaw and everybody from that whole circle, and obviously, there's a lot of branches of that tree out there right now. Whether it's Chad at Merrifield and the guys that he's producing there, or the guys at Oakmont and stuff like that. I mean, it's an incredible pedigree, and there's been a lot of success in it. That's for sure.
No question. So you talked a little bit about the training and the interns. We talk a little bit on this show about the importance of turf school and all the different paths that you can take to get into this industry. Do you have any recommendation? Do you have a strong feeling either way on what's the best avenue to kind of move on and get into this business?
I don't. And, I've run, it seems like a lot of kids that I have, not all of them, but a lot of them, they started off doing something else.
Yeah.
They didn't like what that something else was, whether it was a business management degree, whatever, and they liked golf or whatever, and they got into this, and I think this is a passion business. I really do. I think those kids have a tendency to be more successful, I think, than the kids that came just out of high school and went right to turf school. I do. I think those kids that kind of change careers mid college, that went to school for something else and then decided to change, are more hungrier than the kid that just went to turf school for no reason. I don't want to say no reason, but thought he wanted to be a golf course superintendent, but really didn't know what it took to be a golf course superintendent.
You think it's the passion plus the life skills maybe that they got from doing something else before?
Yeah, I do. I think it's I don't like to do this, but it's that, oh shit moment. What am I going to do in my life? I just went to school and blew a whole bunch of money and I didn't like what I was doing. Now I better find something that I like, and I like golf, or I could see myself working outside. Those guys seem to be a little bit more hungrier for success, I think.
What advice would you have for young assistants, interns, AITs? What kind of advice would you have for them as they want to move along in their careers?
So I think it would be probably a couple different things. It would be, you got to find something that you love, and you got to love and get satisfaction from that something. And if that something is working at the highest level, then you need to go to the highest level and work under, at a Marion or an Inverness or an Oakmont or an Oakland Hills or Merrifield Village, and have those people mentor you. The second thing is find a place that you like, but I think too often these days that kids bounce around. They don't know what they like, so they bounce around and they don't give anything any sort of time period. It's 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, we're done. And I don't like that. And I feel terrible. I'm the one that feels bad because I feel like I've done something wrong. But show some dedication and some discipline, and there's no participation trophies in this industry. There just isn't. Go get it. Have a passion for something. I think that's the guys that I see that are really successful here have a passion for this. They have a passion for making golf courses great. They have a passion for the game of golf in some way, shape, or form. And they have a passion for being really, really successful.
So how do you maintain your passion? How do you maintain your own motivation and not get complacent?
I think this is one of those industries, and this is why I love it. It's a challenge every day. Mother Nature is a challenge, and as soon as it's where you want it, it's probably in some regard going the opposite direction immediately. Just from whether it's weather, humidity, rain, hot, dry, cold, whatever. So it's the ultimate chase, and when you catch it, it's great, but it's only great for, trying to sustain that is really the addicting part of it for me. I love the multitasking. I was just telling someone the other day, if you gave me one thing to do, I would probably completely fail at it. But if you give me, 20 things to do, I love lots of balls up in the air and I love to try to catch them all, and that's the challenge of it, and, I think that's it in a nutshell. It's constantly chasing something, knowing that, it's like that rabbit you can't chase, probably won't ever catch it either, Brian.
So is that having several things in the air to juggle? Is that just like ADD, like making sure you have something to control your ADD there? Is that kind of what it is? That's how it is. That's how it is for me.
It is 100%. And I think that's the 36 hole golf course too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And obviously I've been at 18 holes before, and they're fun for a short period of time. 36 is like a whole different animal.
Yeah. I was going to say, for someone that's only at an 18-hole facility and only has that experience, what is it like at a 36-hole facility?
Yeah, I think it probably takes them a year to get used to, because, there's stuff going on. And I think of a day like today where, we sent 15 greens mowers to the north course. It took them all of 30 minutes to mow 18 greens on the north course, and then we switched over to the south and threw a double cut on the south with, 14 greens mowers, and they're going to do that in an hour and a half or something. And they're like, holy cow, what the heck just happened? They can't even understand it. So I think it takes a year to understand that we have a lot of resources, whether it's machines or labor, and we can pull a lot of different levers to get to the right result. And at an 18 hole golf course, you have half the levers and half the labor and half the resources.
And then you get to a place like Roni with 60 holes, and then it's just
I could never do that. That would be ADHD overkill for me. I wouldn't be able to. I think my head would explode. He does a wonderful job though doing it. He's perfect for it.
Yeah, it's a great spot, man. I love it out there. Well, Phil, I greatly appreciate your time here. I know it's an advance week, so kind of let you get back to business. But is there anything else that you want to talk about here before we let you go?
Man, I'm great. This was a lot of fun, Brian. And when do you come? The 21st? I got
I'm
you
there.
right.
Yeah, I'll be there on whatever Sunday is. Yeah.
Yeah, we can't wait to have you and hanging out like old times.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time, Phil. So appreciate you inviting. Oh man. Oh
you ready
yeah.
for TRW?
Dude, always ready. Always ready. Again, like I said, all the names you started rattling off, I just keep getting more and more excited. I'm already excited just to go hang out with you and the team up at Oakland Hills. But yeah, listening to the crew that's coming in, it's gonna be entertaining.
Tom said he's coming in tomorrow and he needs a list of stuff that I need to get done. So I can't wait.
He'll get it done. That's
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
Uh,
you get TRW on site and things are going to get done. There's no question.
hide the credit cards.
Yeah. That's one thing TRW and I have in common is we're really good at sending invoices out. So that's
Yeah.
that's easy. But awesome, dude. Well, I can't wait to be up there. Can't wait to showcase what y'all are doing at Oakland Hills. Appreciate you spending some time with us, and we'll chat soon.
All right. Thanks, Brian. I appreciate it.
We got a couple of really good questions from the last couple of days. A couple I'm interested to know what you would say because
Oh
I
God,
kind of lucky I get to read these beforehand, right?
you get
One
to
of
think
them,
about them. That's not
yeah,
fair.
one of them I was sitting here, I'm like, he's gonna sign in, but I was so deep in thought. So I'll give you the questions and then I can answer first if you want.
Okay.
Oh yeah, we got some questions from the floor, from our community today, and a couple good ones here. So we're gonna put them out there. Legendary Hickories. Who is the most interesting person you've met on the golf course while working? That is a tough one because I feel like playing, you meet, more interesting people playing because you're kind of bouncing around, you're in the clubhouse and things. So working, it would have to be, a member at a course or a golfer. To be honest with you, for me, I'd have to say my superintendent. The guy I worked under a number of years, he opened my eyes to a world that I didn't know existed, and I don't think a lot of golfers know existed. And the cool thing about working turf and kind of knowing the insides about the golf course is it's almost like a little bit of a secret club. You know what's going on. You know all the things that have been done to the course and all the little plans of action where the golfers really don't know. And so for me, the most interesting guy in the course was always Jamie Noor because that the intelligence and the knowledge of the golf course that not a lot of people that showed up to the property had really blew my mind.
That is a great question.
It is.
I've definitely met some interesting characters along the way, and I think anyone that spends any amount of time on a grounds crew is always going to meet some very interesting characters that are on certain staffs.
Oh yeah.
One of the more interesting people that I've met along the way, he's one of my favorite people, is Darden Nix. He's out in Vegas now. He used to be down south for a long time, was here in Columbus, Ohio for a while. That's where I got to know him. But he kind of I think part of it might be an act. He kind of has
Yeah.
this ho hum Southern boy act to him, but he's one of the smartest people I think I've ever met. So he's an interesting character. I did a story on him a couple of years ago as well. Definitely worth a watch. Talk about overcoming some setbacks in life. But Darden's an interesting dude, and anyone that follows him on Twitter or Instagram will certainly see it. So love him to death. But yeah, he's one of the more interesting characters I've come across.
Sounds like maybe a future guest.
100%.
That'd be a
Darden
good
would
one.
be a phenomenal guest.
Nice.
Phenomenal guest.
Just put the microphone in front of him, let him go, eh?
Just let him roll. I
Yeah.
get I get the question all the time, like, hey, when are we going to get a maintenance team on some sort of reality show? Like, I've got your
Yeah.
guy. You're going to
That's the
go.
guy.
We're going to follow Darden and his team for a season, and
Yeah.
you're going to have gold. Going to have pure gold.
That would be good. I can't lie. People have asked that on Turf today too. Just like, hey, can you get in contact with Netflix and see if they'll do a documentary on a grounds crew? And
I've pitched it. I've
yeah,
pitched it. I've got a buddy that does some stuff with them on their golf content, and I've pitched it to him a few times.
there
So
you
I don't
go.
know.
I
Maybe
mean, you
one of these
probably have
days.
enough content to put together some sort of decent pitch, right?
Definitely
Yeah.
do.
Maybe
It's
we,
the struggle is, I don't know that many clubs that are going to want to see some of the things that go on, right? I mean,
that's
we
a
all
good
know
point.
some of the antics and some of the stuff that goes on behind the scenes, and not that it's anything that's too crazy, but especially private clubs, they're probably not going to want to showcase some of the stuff that goes on behind the
No,
scenes.
exactly. Because if you want it to be authentic and real, I mean, yeah,
It's got to be uncensored, no holds barred, right?
oh man, that would be good. You never know. Maybe one day.
Yeah, would love to see it.
So Harbor Turf, tuning in from Green Harbor Golf Club, Marshfield, Massachusetts, home of Velvet Bent. So those guys say hi.
All right.
Caden Lyers, what are your guys' thoughts on having a step cut or a courtesy cut? I think he's talking about like the 1 inch cut on the fairway.
Is he talking about that, or is he talking about like the walkways?
Good question.
Courtesy path. I would think that's going to be like a path from tee to the fairway, no?
Yeah. Or T to T, they have on some courses.
Yeah.
Yeah, step cut, courtesy cut. That's a good one. I mean, it's always nice. whether it's around a
Yeah.
fairway or around a green or something like that. It's always nice.
Yeah. I like them, but I think I've seen a lot of courses that have eliminated them.
Yeah.
And it's, from a definition standpoint, it's pretty nice. And certainly from a labor standpoint, that's potentially one less thing, one less job that you have to go out and do. I mean, I guess you're going to be mowing roughs, and that's potentially an extra pass on mowing roughs, but it's one dedicated mower, maybe two that's going out there that you can eliminate. So, yeah, no, I mean, I don't have any strong feelings one way or another.
Yeah. I know at our course, we tried to eliminate some of these courtesy cuts and the members didn't have it. So you're right. More labor. And yeah, sometimes it just
Yeah.
doesn't look as good because it's just not as clean a cut or clean a definition between the short grass and the long grass. So yeah, I guess it depends on where you are. What would you say about major
Yeah.
tournaments you'd worked? Is there a lot of first cut, second cut at some of those places?
I think the majority of the places for the big tournaments have the step cut,
Hmm.
the the I guess intermediate, so fairway, intermediate, and then rough, or step cut and then rough. And then I think the majority of them all have the walk paths.
Yeah, I think you see that for the major tournament stuff with all the
Yeah.
caddies and everything.
Yeah.
Go a little extra for some of those guys. Why not, right?
Yep.
So this is actually a really good one. He sent me a longer message, so I gotta go find it.
Is this the one that you had to think about for a long time, or was it the interesting
No, that
person
was
question?
the most interesting person one because I
Okay.
didn't know where to go with that. But then I just thought, well, superintendent, and it was like, oh, 100%. I mean, I ended up
Yeah.
becoming a greenkeeper because of this guy. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Andrew Egan asked a question. D. Egan says, 3 years of experience. Should I stay as an assistant or become a full-time superintendent at the small course? And so that's obviously a big question. He sent us a little context. He said he's 24 years old. He's had 3 years of experience. Two of them have been an assistant. It's a small town, 18-hole golf course. It's a phenomenal golf course, he said. I mean, I hope it be, Andrew. Super's retiring next year, and he's been thinking about letting him take over or letting me take over. Should I stay and be that superintendent, or should I try and stay on as an assistant for a couple more years to be potentially getting a job at a bigger course?
It's a good question.
It's a great question.
We talked about that a little bit with Tyler in the last episode. I actually talked about that with Phil. Phil talked about that a little bit as well. I think it's personal preference. I think, it's
Hmm.
where do you ultimately want to be? Um, and that's kind of what it boils down to. I think if you ask certain people, they regret taking that superintendent job a little too early. They would have liked to have gotten a little more experience and saved that first job for something a little bigger. But again, it's personal preference. If someone wants to go to a higher end course, it might make more sense to say as an assistant at a golf course that's comparable to where they want to be. If someone is, you know, looking to just advance and they want to get out of their current situation, I would never fault anyone for taking that step. So I really do think it's personal preference.
And I think you can lean on your superintendent too.
Absolutely.
If that person really thinks that you can take over the job and do a good job and continue on, with what's kind of going on in that property, then maybe you take the job. And if you sit down and have an honest conversation with them, and they tell you that maybe you're not right or you're not ready, and that might be the best advice you ever get. But ultimately, it's up to you. It's your personal preference, and if you want to go for it, man, like there's never a right time. There's never a perfect time. So
No.
you jump in, you'll learn on the job. And Andrew's a great guy anyways. He's 24 years old. He's pretty bright. I'm,
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll make it happen, whatever
Yeah.
avenue you pick.
It's like having kids. You're never ready, right?
No, it just happens. And you're all of a sudden you're doing
You
it.
just figure it out.
Yeah, here you go. Here's a baby. Oh,
Yeah. What?
here's a golf course. Oh,
Yeah. Yep. That's it.
oh man. Another good one. Turfer's
What do we got?
Paradise. Colin, most famous person in your contact list on your phone. I'll let you go first there. I don't even know if I have any famous people. I mean, I have Mark Prier in my phone. If that counts.
He's pretty famous.
He knows a lot of
Um,
people.
Most famous person.
I mean, you worked at NBC. There must be somebody.
Well, I just did a couple projects for him. Well, in the golf space, probably Andy from Fried Egg. I think they're pretty big these days.
Mm-hmm.
my generation would know Craig Krenzel. He's former quarterback at Ohio State and played in the NFL for a few years. He's a good friend from college. Trying to think who else I would have in there. I think that's it. And my contacts list, those are probably the two. I'm probably missing somebody, but off the top of my head, those are the two that I could think of.
Tough one. I can't say I have anybody famous in my phone. I have a contact for Justin Bieber in my phone. I don't think there's a number associated to it, but I used to live in the States, so that was definitely a move of mine. Oh, you're Canadian? You know Justin Bieber? Yeah, got his number right here in my phone. Let's see if we can call him.
All your time playing hockey and in the league and in the Bruins system, you don't have all those
There would
guys?
definitely be some hockey players. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I do have Don Sweeney's number. So he's the GM of the Bruins. I'd probably be
Yeah.
most famous person that I would know that people might know. I roomed with Tyler Seguin for a while there, so have his number, but not people I talk to on a regular basis anymore, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I gotcha.
Yeah. That's always a fun one. That's certainly something
That's
I've
a good
never
one.
thought about before.
Yeah.
Next time I've ever put a big name in my phone, I'm gonna be like, oop, that might be the one. PVUL Gamot says, just want to say y'all are awesome and thanks for everything you do.
Thanks for
Appreciate the
listening.
comments. Squam Greens, what is the best way to mentally deal with the heat and humidity of the summer?
Find out. Let me know.
Yeah, yeah, we're definitely still working on that. I know in the heat of the
Go somewhere
summer,
where it's colder.
yeah. And like everybody always says to stay hydrated. And I know if you're working on a golf course in the sun every day, there's no way you're ever getting caught up.
No.
So at the end of the week, if you get a day off, try and drink as much as you can. Adding lemon to your water, always found that really helps you get hydrated. Eating fruits and vegetables that have lots of water in them, so things like watermelon, cucumbers, apples, stuff that is full of different vitamins and stuff that'll keep you going on the golf course. So definitely eating. Make
Yeah.
sure you eat enough. Definitely make sure you're drinking enough water. Get the shade when you can. Soak yourself with the hose and the sprinklers whenever you can, because it's a
Yeah.
grind. They call it the grind of
Yep.
the summer for a reason.
That's right. And sunscreen. Don't forget your sunscreen.
Right. For everybody out there that wears your sunscreen, don't forget to put it on. I used to get lectured every freaking day by my wife.
Ugh.
Why don't you smell like sunscreen? You should be just reeking of sunscreen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get that all the time too. Don't forget to put it on.
Yeah.
I got it, babe.
I was blessed with fortunate skin for that stuff. I mean, I should knock on wood, but I was always more of
Yeah.
a tanner than a burner. I
I'm
remember.
that way. I'm that way as well.
Yeah. We're the fortunate ones for sure
Yes.
in that regard. One last one from Lil Kirchy, a guy who asks
Okay.
questions all the time. He said, Adam, did you stop being an assistant? I think that question comes from our conversation an episode or two ago. Yeah, I haven't really mentioned this too much, but I did stop working at the golf course earlier in the year to work on Turf Today and the podcast full time. Obviously, this is not a full time job for us, so I did have to take a sales job close to my home just to kind of make ends meet and make this all work. I would have loved to stay at the golf course, but for me, it was the schedule. Getting up at 3:30 in the morning, working all day, coming home to my family, trying to be a dad, and then trying to stay up to be able to do work on the show and on Turf Today to keep that ball rolling was just too much. And I recognized that, and for my mental health and everything, I took a bit of a step back. It's been nice working a little bit less and having a bit better schedule to make this work. And the end goal is to be able to just do this full time and support Brian and the Superintendent Network and start traveling a little bit and do a lot more for everybody. So and in that is, I'm also looking forward to getting back and working at the golf course a little bit more part time at a few courses here in the city and doing as much volunteering as I can and traveling around and stuff. So I definitely miss the golf course. I miss it. I miss it. I miss it. And it's hard for me to talk about coming away from it because we always harp on it's such a great industry and you need to work hard and be in it and do it for the passion. And it was certainly hard for me to walk away, but I'm going to find my way back there for sure.
We've had the conversation too. There's many different sides of the industry. While we may not be superintendents or assistants or crew members, we're still supporting the industry and still a part of the industry in some, small way. So, you're still part of the industry. Don't ever think that you're not. And you're getting back out on the golf course now, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a great thing. The more I'm going to be out there and connected with it is what we want. So yeah, still in the industry. I miss being at the course every day, but we'll get back there and hopefully get out there to play a little bit more too, because that's why we do this whole thing, right? Is be able to get out there and swing the clubs a
Yeah,
little bit.
yeah. You don't get into this industry to play golf, though,
No,
unfortunately.
that's true. That is true. That is very true.
Unfortunately, but
Yeah.
that's okay. Get to see some nice places. I'd rather go and see a nice golf course anymore than play it, because I always tell everyone, I'm like, I'd rather leave a great golf course with good memories instead of bad memories
Nice.
of going out and putting up a bad number. So
That's so true. That's so
yeah,
true. You can just leave there all smiles, all
that's
positivity.
right.
Everything looks
That's right.
great.
Oh, it's a beautiful place. What a great spot. Instead of I lost 4 golf balls today and
Yeah.
shot 85 and not happy.
There's such a golfer's mentality sometimes, eh? We're so competitive.
Oh, oh man, it's bad. I get that question all the time, like from people that just don't know. And they're like, "Oh, so you get to like play all these places?" I'm like, dude, I was just at the US Open. No, they didn't let me go
Yeah,
play number
no.
2, like no. I couldn't get on. I can't play LACC. I can't, Tiger didn't need a marker for his group. No,
Yeah.
I didn't get to play it.
Yeah. And like you're not also trying to steal 2 hours to go play some
Yeah.
municipal course down the road by yourself, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I generally, especially when I drive, I take my clubs all the time. You just never know when an opportunity is going to come
Hey,
up.
pass a golf
But
course, you got a few hours?
yeah, right. So every now and then, but no, man, it doesn't happen very often. That's why I've gone from like a 2 to about a 7.
I'm sure you still got it.
No, I
Take you a
don't.
couple rounds to get
I
it back.
don't. It'd take me several rounds to get it back.
What was the
Several rounds.
best part of your game? What was your bread
Short
and
game.
butter? Yeah?
Short game. I get up and down. I used to get up and down from anywhere. My putting, I just put me on a green, and uh, chances are I'm going to make it or get it pretty darn close.
Yeah.
That's what I was notorious for hitting 7 or 8 greens around and shooting 72.
Right. Yeah. Making it work.
That's just I just get up and down from everywhere. So, but that was a long time ago before kids and mortgages and responsibility.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I'm sure you still got a bit of a touch around the green though.
Yeah. No, it's bad. And you would think a guy that has a putting green in his backyard would be a little better at it too. That's not the case, man.
How is the putting green doing this year?
No bueno.
No
No bueno. No. So I got some seed. Good friend sent me some super bent. So I've got it here. It's ready to start some slit seeding, some overseeding. But just haven't been home enough to do it. So one of
Yeah.
these days, I
Kind of
get
need
a
to be
nice
there,
stretch.
run a program on it, right?
Yeah, and it's, I'm just gonna keep hitting it. He sent me enough that I can hit it a couple times, so I'm gonna hit it a couple times. I'll wait. I mean, I don't want to do it here in the heat of the summer.
Right.
So since I'm not able to baby it, but I'll hit it up probably here and probably another month. I'll put some seed in the ground and start moving it.
That'll be good.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you have anything else written down you wanted to touch on or get to, or?
No, man. No, I don't think so. I think I'm in good shape.
Well, all right then. I guess we will let these fine folks know that they can keep their reels sharp. We'll see you all next week.